Hey y'all, welcome back to Let's Talk Travel with the Pretty Wanderer. I'm the host, Fatima Barnes. I am excited today. Why? Because we're going to have a great episode full of good conversation. But I do want to take a step back and I do want to acknowledge and thank you guys so much for all of the support that's been shown for the first 3 episodes. My goal has been to set the tone in initial episodes and alleviate any concerns, get you inspired, anything holding you back from wanting to see this world. I wanted to address it. So thank you guys for all of the support. After this pandemic is over, I can't wait for you guys to send me your stamps on your passports and send me pics of you guys traveling the world. So thank you again. But today we will be talking with fellow travel enthusiasts such as myself, Alicia Taylor, and we're going to be talking about a hot topic in the travel community, and that is when people see couples traveling, they say goals. We're going to talk about that and what that means. And so let's get ready today for Let's Talk Marriage and Baecations. Now on to today's tips, or as I like to say, pulling from my luggage of tricks. Today's tip is going to be simple, but it's going to be a good tip as it pertains to traveling, because I know a lot of people often wonder, like, how do you go to so many countries in one year or one trip? And the reason why I'm able to do that, because I always think about maximizing my time and my trip to the best of my ability. So what I mean by that is, throughout the year, I typically will go to closer other countries or destinations that I really wanted to go to that I can kind of hit up in 4 to 5 days or 3 to 4 days, where I can take a Wednesday through Sunday or a Thursday through Sunday or even a Friday through Sunday and tackle those. So those are usually going to be my closer destinations, and I'm able to do that more often. Why? Because they're a lot closer. I can get to them within a short amount of time. So that's one reason, that's one way I'm able to kind of keep going and keep seeing, right? And I don't even just do that, internationally. I do that domestically as well. I don't always just travel internationally. It is my preference, but I do take trips throughout the year by maximizing my time. But another way that I maximize my time and actually maximize the area that I'm in and I'm able to go more places is I've actually utilized the ability to purchase an open jaw ticket. And what open jaw ticket means is basically for the same price as a round trip ticket, you can purchase a ticket to one place and then leave out of another destination. So an example of that would be when I went to Bali, I also wanted to go to Thailand. Why? Because Thailand is close to Bali and I wanted to kind of experience that as well. And while we're already going to be in that area, let's make it a 2-for-1 kind of trip and make that opportunity. Well, when I purchased the flight, I've noticed that if you go from Bali, Memphis from Bali, and then you have to turn around, and if you want to go to Thailand, then I would have to try to get back to Bali and fly out of Bali. It made no sense. So it made more sense to start my trip off in Bali, end in Thailand, and fly back home out of Thailand. That way I don't have to worry about getting back to the original destination. And I've also got that ticket at the same price as a regular round trip ticket. It was more expensive to purchase a one-way there and a one-way back from Thailand. Way more expensive. You can actually utilize open jaw tickets. The best way to book them is through Skyscanner, because you're actually able to go in and you can choose multi-city option, and you can choose which destination you want to initially go to, and then you can choose the destination that you want to return to back home and get a quote at a round trip price. So when you're already there, when you go to those other countries, one thing that you will notice is it's cheap for the most part to fly from one country to another in that region, right? So what I did was we purchased a ticket from Bali to Thailand, and I think they were maybe like $60-$70 from there. And it was maybe like a 2-hour flight, 2.5, 3-hour flight from Bali to Phuket. And so it is so worth it when you're there to just make it a 2-for-1. It's super cheap to buy those in between tickets. In some places, depending on where you go, you actually will save money doing it that way because you don't have to keep making a separate trip out of it. And I knew that in Phuket, I was able to still do just about everything I wanted to do in my itinerary in those 3 full days. And I still had a lot of time in Bali, even though you technically need 2 trips to do everything you want to do in Bali. This tip would have been helpful when I was going to Paris, right? My husband and I in 2018, we went to Paris. But while we were there, I wanted to maximize it and take advantage being close to other places that I wanted to see. So while we were there, we went to Barcelona and we also went to London, right? Well, we had to get back to Paris every time to leave from Paris to get back home because we purchased a round trip ticket using our points. We could have initially just planned the trip out where, lesson learned, but we could have planned the trip out where we do X amount of days in Paris. We leave Paris, go to London, do X amount of days there. We leave London, go to Barcelona, do X amount of days there, fly home from Barcelona. That would have been the smart way to do it, but I didn't know about it then. So now I learned my lesson, and when I went to Bali in Thailand, I learned about open jaw tickets. So hopefully that was helpful for you. It is a good way to maximize your time and maximize and take the opportunity of being in a certain region and going to multiple places that you actually want to go. Now, we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be speaking with fellow travel enthusiast, Mrs. Alicia Taylor. Have you thought about starting your own podcast? Well, listen, honey, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. You can't beat free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's huge. That's right. No minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So get that phone out, download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's right, anchor.fm to get started. We're back, and we have with us today none other than the one and only Mrs. Alicia Taylor. She is a travel enthusiast such as myself, a lifestyle blogger, a Memphis enthusiast, as she does a lot for her community as it pertains to career advancement. She is also a corporate woman such as myself, y'all, and she is here to talk about her experiences because as a married woman, her and her husband have vowed to take vacations monthly, and I am here for it. I'm excited to have you here today, so let's get into it. How you doing today, girl?
I'm doing great. Wishing the weekend was a little bit longer, but hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I so understand. Like, even when you're working from home, it's still like, it's Monday.
Yes. Monday is still Monday.
Exactly. Like, it's not like we just on vacation all this time.
Yes.
So I get it. Work starts back. So
yes.
I totally get it. All right. So for the listeners that don't know, I have you here for a very special reason. And that is because, one, you're awesome. But two, this episode is about marriage and vacations. And so can you just tell the listeners about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, of course. And let me say ahead of time, you can't be married without vacation.
Exactly.
Or I can't be married without vacation. You need that time off.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. So I'm Alicia Taylor. I am a aerospace marketing product manager at FedEx. I'm also I like to consider myself a travel enthusiast. And I'm also a blogger. I actually just started a blog. It's called Live Lux with Alicia, just
Okay.
again trying to share what I love about traveling and little quick little tips that we find, things that I may listen and hear on your blog or your podcast that you've shared, and just trying to share as much as I can. I've been married for 4 years. I have a little baby Yorkie, Bella. She's 3 years old. And so she's my baby for now.
Oh, look at her. And so listen, one thing I love that we always have connected on our love for traveling, like from day one, like traveling and marriage. We always been able to kind of connect there. So I just thought that it just was so fitting and couldn't be more perfect to have you on this episode, especially because we kind of have very similar lifestyles, corporate jobs, but still
Mhm.
love to travel. We're married and we like to travel with our spouses. So
Yeah.
I just felt like it was perfect to have you here. And
Well,
so you
thank
said
you
y'all
for
have been
having
married.
me.
Oh, thanks. Y'all have been married for 4 years, right?
Yes. 4 years.
Wow. That is awesome. I remember when y'all got married and everything. That
Yes, and I
is
was afraid. Saying, Fatima, what do I
And now look at you. Now
do?
look at you. It's
Yes.
nothing now, you just, it's a beautiful thing though. It is a
It
beautiful
is.
thing. It
It
is.
is.
And so there, since you guys are kind of very similar to kind of my husband and how we kind of do things as far as our love for traveling, for us, we started traveling really early on in our relationship. Like even in college, we went to Disney World together. We like went on a cruise to the Bahamas together. We tried to travel as much as we can, and it's always just kind of been our thing early
Mhm.
on in our relationship. And so, what prompted y'all to kind of make that traveling such a priority in your marriage as well? Like, how did that kind of come about and begin in your relationship?
Well, so first, my husband's mother was raised in Seattle, Washington. And of course, they lived here in Memphis, Tennessee. They would always travel to Seattle every summer. And while they would be in Seattle, they would go to Canada and they would travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already a traveler. He loved to go
Oh,
everywhere.
wow.
He had already been on cruises and international trips like that, been to Spain and everything. Myself, on the other hand, I had traveled some within the United States, but it would mainly be like school trips. I volunteered a lot when I was in college. So most of the trips with our organization that I was in, Team Vols, we would volunteer outside of Knoxville for our spring break and fall break. So I really loved going out of town to volunteer in different areas and being able to learn and experience other places and still giving back them. So
Mm-hmm.
we actually met after college. And of course, that was already instilled in both of us. And we just came together and said, hey, what do you think about traveling? How often do you like to travel? And both of us were basically just like as much as possible, as often as possible. So, of course, we started traveling early in our relationship as well. So before we were even
Mm-hmm.
engaged, we were traveling out of town together, and it's just something that the both of us love. So it's easy for us.
Wow, that's so good. I love when you kind of know when you found your equal, because it seems like it just was like it just came
Natural,
together
yeah.
naturally. Like you that kind of the similar things, like similar but not similar. I was the one that kind of had that love for traveling at such a young age, and my husband, like he would travel, but of course he didn't travel, a lot. But when we got together,
Hmm.
he was always open to it and wanted to do it, and so it just kind of started that way as well. So I just love when it just kind of merges together, and either if they haven't traveled, somebody's open to it or
Yeah,
not. So
yeah.
I definitely love that. And okay, and so who's kind of the head traveling planner in the marriage? Like everybody has one. Who's the
Yeah.
one that's kind of like, this is kind of where we're going? And how do you guys go about where you're going next? And can we start there? Like who's over that? Because it's always one.
Yes, there is. So with us, I think it depends on where we're going and whose ideal it was. So if it's
Mhm.
possibly Avon's birthday and we're going on the trip for him, then he's kind of the planner. I will get the things together, but I will ask him, what do you want to do? And I'll find it. If it's for my birthday, of course, it's what I want to do. If it's just a regular vacation that we're going on, most of the time I'm the planner, but I do ask for his advice and we just kind
Mhm.
of build it from there. But I'm definitely the planner, like from A to Z. Give me your information, what you're interested in, and then from A to Z, I'll handle it all of it.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of similar to with us. It's kind of 50-50 to an extent. Like it
Hmm.
depends on where we're going. And for us, we do like to travel for birthdays if we can. My birthday is at such a crazy time of year. I'm 2 days after Christmas. So sometimes
Yes.
we don't really get to travel for my birthday, and I'm okay with that. But we usually can travel by the time it's his birthday because it's in March. But our anniversary trip is kind of that thing for us where it was
Yeah.
established early on, like every year for our anniversary, we will travel somewhere. And that's kind of like our big trip. And with that, this interesting thing we started doing is the last couple of places we went, we kind of put in a hat some places that we said we wanted to go, and we just pull, like, okay, that's going to be the anniversary trip this year, like
Hmm.
this is where we're going to go. And so that's kind of how we do it too. But I am more so the one that's like, I'm going to book the flights, I'm going
Yeah.
to get the itinerary together, here's what we're going to do, what do you want to do, so I can make sure I take that into consideration. But I am probably definitely the planner, and he's more like the, okay, let's figure out how we're gonna pay for this, or
Yeah.
what we're gonna do this, what
Right.
points we're gonna use, or how we're gonna do this. So it is a team effort. I love to see when married couples, especially young married couples, really just go out there and just explore the world together, because it
Hmm.
just feels it's like traveling with your built-in best friend almost. Like
Yes,
it's
it definitely is.
so, yeah. Would you say that you guys connect more, or do you feel that traveling brings y'all closer together as a couple?
I feel like when we travel, especially, so we actually go on a lot of trips with couples or family, and we probably don't get as many solo trips as we should. But
Mm-hmm.
once we do, I love it because I feel like that's our time. We disconnect from everything else and we're just so
Mm-hmm.
focused on the one. And I feel like grateful that I'm with this person. This is the person that I chose and he chose me. And I feel like we just ignore everything else and get to explore something new together. And that's just, I don't know. I feel, especially when we went to Bali, I just feel like it feels like God is with us. I don't know
Yes.
if I should say that exactly, but that's what
Yeah.
it just feels like. I don't know. It's so different. It's just like you're disconnected from everyone else and you're just
Mm-hmm.
there in that union, which of course your union is you, your spouse, and God. So that actually did
Right.
make sense that I said that
It
because
did.
he
It
is
did.
here.
It did. And that you're not lying about that. It's this kind of undescribable kind of thing. Like you kind of just gotta feel it, especially when you're with the right one. And
Hmm.
then you guys travel together, like you said, exploring those places together, those new experiences, building memories. Like, to me, give me that over a bag. I can buy a bag
Yes.
myself.
Yeah.
Like, let's do that. Like for me. So I feel you. It is kind of like this, especially we gonna talk about Bali, but especially when you're in places like that where it's just so peaceful. Their culture is
Yeah.
so peaceful, and you kind of, I think what it is you don't have a choice but to kind of connect with one
Mhm.
another in a way that you don't have the outside distractions. You don't have work, you don't have, so it's not like you don't connect on a normal basis, but now
Mhm.
you kind of taken away that distraction, the outside distractions. You don't have to worry about this or that, or did you have a bad day, or can you go,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. It's just kind of just pure connection time. So I definitely agree with you on that. And I knew exactly what you were trying to say when you were explaining it, because I'm like, yes, like I know what
Mhm.
you're talking about. it,
Yes.
it,
And the connection is different even more because that's something special you get to share with only your spouse. Like you may have a family trip and everyone got to share that. Well, when
mm-hmm,
it's just you and your spouse, we have these stories for ourselves. We have these memories for
mm-hmm.
ourselves, and no one else can say that they were here with us. It was just you and I. So
Right.
that's
Yes, girl, I felt you. I felt you. We here. So let's talk about Bali, honey, because every couple I know that goes to Bali, including, myself, another friend of mine, her boyfriend, and you and Avon, like there is something about Bali that I feel couples should go to together. There was just this extreme connection together. I really don't know how to describe it. Like I don't know if it was just like the people or the land or just the
yeah, I think it's everything.
experiences.
I
Hmm.
think it's just peace.
Is
You
that
feel
it?
at peace. Everything there feels peaceful. Like there's no conflict. I don't think I saw anyone argue or get upset or
Mm-mm.
anything in Bali. And it's just like everything that you experience or site that you go to in Bali, most of it really is a temple. So it's meant for
Mm-hmm.
them to go there to praise. So you and everyone else who is coming to visit, we aren't thinking, oh, I want to do something crazy here. It's like I have to make sure that I'm respecting this sacred
Mm-hmm.
ground. And
Right.
everything in Bali is so beautiful. It's just like you're amazed, your spouse is amazed, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
like soaking it all in and just being so grateful, just being able to experience it. It's amazing. Like if I could go there today, I was like, Avon, come on, let's pack our bags and get out of here.
Right.
'Cause it's amazing. I
I
can
def
say Uluwatu was my favorite temple. It's the highest temple. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it's in the world, but I know it was in Bali. I think you guys went there also,
We
where it's
did.
like right
Uh-huh.
there on the water. That
Mm-hmm.
was so amazing. Like if I lived in Bali, I would literally say, "Bon, we have to go here every single morning." Like I would start my day there. It's so beautiful. Like it makes you be like, well, I don't want to stay here in my house anymore. I need to move
Right.
to Bali.
Right. It does. It does. And like you said, like it's like the people, I really feel like Bali is a place that couples should go to connect. Like
Definitely.
especially a couple who maybe it's a anniversary, or you guys just want to get away and go somewhere to just focus and connect. I definitely feel like that's the perfect place to
Hmm.
do that. It really is. Like you said, the temples, like everywhere you go, it's the temples, and just the amazement of together you guys are going there, and they put the rice on your forehead to they
Hmm.
bless you and all of that, which is why you got to be open-minded. But they were, we watched them pray, and then they said you can pray to God, your God. Like it was
Hmm.
really, I just really felt like I feel you. Like I listen, for all the people out there that are a couple and you want a vacation place to go,
Yes,
Bali is it. It
it's
was
number
recommended to
one.
me. It
It's
was
number one on the list.
it is recommended. It is highly recommended. And that's why I was like, we're gonna talk about that Bali connection, because I was wondering if you felt it. Clearly you felt it too. Every
Yeah.
couple that I know feels it. And Uluwatu, I do know exactly where you're talking about. That was
Yes,
probably
it's
one of my favorite
amazing.
temples. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I definitely recommend it. People try to always kind of be like, is Bali worth the hype? Like,
Yes.
yes, it is.
Period.
Period. And you know how you mentioned like they don't really get into conflict and all that. That is so
Hmm.
true because they are so devout in Hinduism that they truly believe in karma, and so they don't believe in trying to get revenge, or they don't believe in arguing or conflict. They just listen. Your karma will come. It's no way for me to waste energy.
Right.
And that's we could all learn from that. We
We could. We
we
could.
all can learn of that. So I was gonna ask this question, but I think we may have answered it. But is that y'all favorite place that y'all have traveled together? What has been your favorite place y'all have traveled together?
Yes, Bali. Bali is number one. I actually asked Avon the same question last night to make sure we were on the same page, and he said Bali as well. So I think Bali is number one for both of us, and I would definitely say Aruba is number two for me right now. Aruba is beautiful as well. There are no mosquitoes. Even when the
Oh,
sun is out, the wind is constantly blowing. Aruba is so beautiful and
oh,
peaceful. It's just so. Which, everywhere that you go, you may say, okay, and this is number two, and this is number one again,
yep,
because you enjoy everywhere that you go. But
right.
definitely, I would say Bali and Aruba. I would go to either one of those right now. If you told me, hey, just pick one place out of my hat, I will pull either one of those.
You know, Bali, and the other one for me would definitely be Maui, Hawaii. We
Hmm.
also had kind of that same connection in Hawaii that we had in Bali. It's like our happy place too. Like kind of how you feel about Aruba. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of like our happy place too. Girl, you just reminded me of Aruba, honey, because Corona done took away our plans for Aruba.
Yes.
We was supposed to be in Aruba, girl. So I definitely have
Yes.
been trying to imagine I'm in Aruba because I definitely wanted to go there. So it's definitely on my bucket list, honey. I was like, let me ask that question, but I think we kind of already know Bali might be that place. Yeah,
Yes,
I
definitely.
definitely. So just to kind of ask you this, or just kind of backtrack a little bit, would you say it would have been a deal breaker in your relationship if your husband didn't want to travel?
So I will say no, it wouldn't have been a deal breaker because I can be very persuasive.
That you can, honey. I've seen your sales. Like,
so so I think my and especially the my husband, even if he said no, eventually I feel like I would have persuaded him to say yes. So it wouldn't be a deal breaker unless I wasn't able to persuade him. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll travel by myself and you can just stay home, which I'm fine with that as well. So,
listen, I feel you on that. Sometimes you just listen. I like that. You know, for me, if like similar, it would be a deal breaker if that person is very close minded and not
mhm,
open to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I ain't leaving outside of my state, that kind of thing. Like, I can't. No.
right.
Yeah.
But
But
I'll say this, everyone can be persuaded because my parents, my mother actually just turned 50 last year. My dad will be turning 50 this year. 49 and 48 years went by and they hadn't taken an international trip. And I think it's 2 or 3 years ago, Abon and I persuaded them to go to the Dominican Republic with us. And they had never been on the plane before. But
wow.
when they got there, they loved it. So sometimes you just have to push that person to show them how beautiful everything is going to be. Go with them. And then once they actually come out of their
Mhm.
comfort zone and actually experience what you've been experiencing, then they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go now.
And
I'm
now
ready.
they always on the go, ain't they?
Yes. Now they're always like, okay, Alicia and Avon, where are you guys going? Because we want to go with you. So you just, everybody gets the travel bug after they go once. Once you go and
Mhm.
experience the world, you're like, okay, I can't get enough.
See, that I'm glad you said that because honestly, me, I probably would have been like, sorry, next. But you got a good point. And I mean, a part of that is why I started the podcast in the first place, is because I'm trying to alleviate every kind of fear, which is why I did the episode
Mm-hmm.
on anxiety. So now you've heard from a professional, and then I've tried to inspire you with the first episode, and then, you know, for the moms out there who may have been kind of, I don't want to leave my children in travel or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, there's something there. So my goal has been to sort of kind of do what you said, and that's persuade people to say, hey, I guess a big beautiful world out there, let's get you ready or inspired, or let's try to give you a taste of it. So that is a good way to look at it, because I probably would have been just strictly like, no. Because you have some
Mm-hmm.
people that are just not open minded. And I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, when you go out the country, like, let's just face it, you do have to have an open mind, right? Because some people may have been like, I'm not going to their temples,
Right.
and I'm Christian, and I'm not going to their temples and watching them pray. And it's like, but for me, I didn't look at it like that. It's like, this is just such a cool experience. And
Right.
having a partner that's open minded like that, that can say, well, yeah, I'm open to at least going. It's not like I'm saying I'm not a Christian anymore. So I think
Right.
that's why the
Exactly.
open mindedness matters to me, especially it would have mattered in a relationship.
Exactly. Just being open to experience new things. Not saying that you
Mm-hmm.
have to change and be a new
Mm-hmm.
person. Just be able to just be open to what the world has to offer, because there's so many different things.
Mm-hmm. And that is true. That is true. So just to kind of piggyback off of that, but not at the same time. If there is a couple out there who maybe they both haven't really kind of traveled the world, or, you know, nowadays, let's just face it, the social media has kind of upped the hype where people want to take vacations, right? Like
Hmm.
now everybody wants to do a vacation, wants to do a vacation. And of course you can't just do a vacation with everybody. Like
Right.
especially if, to me, like if y'all just met, you know, not saying it don't work, but like, to me, if we're not serious, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't want to go, because I'm like, you all in my pictures and now I gotta try to crop you out, you
Oh.
know. Now we gotta try to figure out. So like, but now the hype is the vacations, and I love vacations. But what would you say to a couple out there that's kind of like, you know, I want to start traveling with my significant other or partner, like where would they start? How would they make that work?
Well, if they haven't been together for a long time, I would definitely say start within the United States. I wouldn't want to go internationally because you have so much stuff to
Mm-hmm.
go through, customs and all this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want everybody all in your business. And you
Right.
never know what will happen overseas. So I would definitely start. I mean, even if it's just from Memphis to Atlanta. It's something new that
Mm-hmm.
you can find in Atlanta. Just find somewhere. A matter of fact, something that I did that I think is a great tip for everyone is to find all of the nonstop flights from your city.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take you can take that in a year if you want to, because it's
Right.
nonstop. So Memphis, say we have 30 nonstop flights. We know Memphis to Atlanta is
Mm-hmm.
going to be not even a whole hour. That's
Yeah,
one trip
45
that I
minutes.
can take. Exactly. Memphis to
Mm-hmm.
Chicago has several straight flights. That is,
Mm-hmm.
I think, an hour as well. You can do a vacation to Chicago, figure out something to do there. You could go Memphis to Arizona, find something.
Mm-hmm.
That's my best tip right now. To find all of your nonstop flights from your city and just start off small. There will be a quick flight. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to feel like you've been stuck on the flight for a very long time, and just go and enjoy yourself. And then as you progress in your relationship, you've been together for a while, you're interested, start researching what international place you want to go. If you want to go somewhere quick, just find what's the quickest international flight. For most of the US, I think it's probably going to be somewhere in Mexico.
Caribbean, Mexico, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, but Mexico is fun, or what they say,
Oh,
lit
I
too.
love
So,
Mexico.
so you'll have a lot of fun, and I love Cabo. So,
I love
put Cabo
Mexico.
on
Oh,
your list. Put it on your
Yes.
list and definitely go there and enjoy. The
You
Bahamas
are so
isn't that
right.
far. You can always
Mm-mm.
go to Florida, Miami, the
Mm-hmm.
Keys, anywhere.
You got a good point there, because and that's a good way too, as they're dating, to start to kind of sort of establish their relationship, and maybe even establish traveling being a priority early on in their relationship, so that they can hold on to it and keep it as they get more serious and get married.
Hmm.
And as you learn who you're with as you travel with them. You
Yes.
learn a lot. You're really kind of getting to know somebody when you travel too. They say, when you live together or when you travel, like, you know who you
Yes.
can and cannot travel with. And
Yes.
that's kind of a good way to kind of get to know maybe who you're with or who you're dating. And like, that's a
Hmm.
great tip. I knew about checking the flights that are, nonstop, from Memphis, because I always try to do that to find like quick weekend places to
Hmm.
go, quick, where we can kind of just take off a Friday and, leave on a Thursday night, Thursday to Sunday kind of trip. So I always kind of look for those. And I love how, especially now from Memphis, you got Cancun.
Yes.
They now do direct flights there and stuff. So that was actually on my plan before Corona came. But that's a good
Right.
way. That is a good way to really sort of just kind of, get to know who you're with. But that's a good way too, to have just ideas to make it a priority too, because people always ask, and they ask both of us, you and myself, actually, like, how do we travel so much with our partner? But it really all comes down to just making it a priority and
Hmm.
doing things like that, even if it is weekend getaways, to
Right.
kind of connect. So,
And another thing, if you're in an early relationship, or even if it's not that early, but you're not sure about going international, because a few things about international flights. One, they're more expensive, and two, they're
hmm
longer. So you have to be
hmm
really, I don't know about everyone else, but I have to be really committed to the person to be willing to pay that much and to stay on a flight that long with them.
hmm You
Because you need some patience and able to really lay on them, because that Bali flight was extremely long.
it's long, child. It's long. You're right. If you gotta be comfortable to do that, girl, then
Hmm.
let's just face it, they give you the little toothbrushes and toothpaste on them international flights for a reason.
Yes.
Cause you taking a nap, and, like, if I'm just dating somebody, I don't want them to know my morning breath right away
Right.
completely, and you gotta try to go back. You gotta rebrush when you've been on them long flights. Like, you
Yes.
can't you can't just brush your teeth once and then fly for 20 something hours and slept
Right.
all that time and not think you got, yeah, that's things that you got to think about. So you got a good
Hmm.
point. Like, you really need to be comfortable with
Yes.
that person
Yes, because
on
you're
a
like,
24-hour
well, I'm
flight.
still in my cute phase. I've only been dating you for 5 months. I'm not trying to let you smell my morning breath.
That is so true, girl. Cause I'm telling you, when you be sleeping on them planes and anybody try to deny it, it's a lie. I
Yes.
have to get up a few times and go brush my teeth again, because
Yes.
I've been sleeping and all this stuff. Like, nah, so you gotta get up and brush that teeth again. And, like,
Hmm.
and people, girl, and that's probably some things gonna change now after Corona. People gotta wear masks and stuff like that. But still, like,
Yeah.
that's you're right. Like, you gotta really, really be comfortable with them. So that is a good point. Any other advice that you would give to the couples or the married couples out there about vacations? Like, what's something that they should know or consider or take into consideration?
Mm, well, really just knowing and agreeing on where you want to go. Because, if I'm a beach person and my husband wants to be in the woods all the time, maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, but I know he's not going to want to go to the beach on every vacation. So
Mm,
be sure that you know what you're interested in and what your mate is interested in, and compromise, because you both want to be able to enjoy your vacation and experience new things when you go on the vacation. Don't just go and lay on the beach all 7 days
mm-hmm.
of your vacation. I always like make a list ahead of time, and I always, of course, leave about 2 relaxed days. The other days I'm out. If I'm
Mm.
on an island, I'm out trying to find the local food, where the local
Mm-hmm.
stores. I also do make a day for fine dining because I love some fine dining. So
Okay.
I find which one is the best because I'm definitely down to experience that. And then if you're, a fun couple, you like to go out and have some fun, find you a local club. Make sure it's safe, of course, but find you a local
Mm-hmm.
club and go, especially if you go to Jamaica, go out
Yes.
and party with them. It's so different than how the United States is. Once you start traveling outside of the US, you'll definitely see everyone else is so much different than the US.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I love the United States, but international, like they're on a whole nother level. Like I
Yes.
love going to their clubs, just going out to their sightseeing, everything. So
Mm-hmm.
just
It's
be
so
open to
different.
do more. Like if you just want to go on the beach and chill, you can go to Miami for that, or you can go to your
Right.
pool for that. Like go out and
Uh,
experience where you're going to. Don't go to Jamaica and just sit on the beach. Find some things to do.
right. And you will find that those girl, you hit the hammer on the nail for every single point you just made. Like that is so important. Like especially with international traveling. Like those places have so much more to offer than like pretty beaches, and
Yes.
it's so much culture and so many things to experience. And like since we're talking about it from a couple's perspective, connecting that way is it's that's where the connection really comes from. That's kind of where you really are growing as a couple, and that piece of it, because you don't want to. I love how you made a good point, and I'm gonna touch back on that. You mentioned having a day or two to just do nothing and kind of relax, especially when you're on a long trip. Like that is so
Hmm.
important to have those couple of days to kind of just chill and wind down like that. Let that be your beach days, let that be
Yes.
your chill on the beach kind of days. And the rest of the days you need to be out immersing yourself into the culture of where you're at together. And you mentioned the clubs, because they don't club the same, girl, especially in
Yes.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
They don't club the same. It's not the same. Like it's fun to kind of get out there, and we try to do nightlife as much as we can, but sometimes I'm in that 30 plus club. So sometimes I be tired. We done went all day.
Hmm.
Maybe save your nightlife
That
for
happened to
some
us
of
in
those
Bali.
beach chill days. Yeah, exactly.
Because you're walking so much and climbing all the stairs. We're like, oh,
The
I don't think it's
stairs.
gonna. Now we
Yes.
did get to go out one night, but I always try to say, okay, let's just save at least one night to go out. We went out in
Mhm.
Aruba also. Just one, force yourself. Just
One night.
one
Yeah.
night. Just one night. If you have to force it, if you have to make it the first night or the second night where you're not, okay, I still have this energy, I'm still excited,
Right.
so excited to be here, then do it those nights because I know
You
you
are
do
so
get
right.
tired. And then probably like the day before we leave, we always get a massage. Like that's number one on
Yes.
our list. Get a massage and just relax and just enjoy your time and just take time to be grateful and just thankful for
Right.
being able to experience it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing we do, girl. Like we kind of get our massages everywhere that we go, especially, overseas they do much better job, and it's cheaper when it comes to
Hmm.
massages. But like those wind down days could kind of help you, because on the last episode I was talking to my therapist about how I usually have a bad attitude when I come back. I'm just like, I gotta go to reality. Like, not like,
Yes.
I'm kind of not a bad attitude, but I kind of experienced that after vacation moodiness of like,
Hmm.
man, I gotta come back to reality. But I've noticed when we started planning like our chill day, where we kind of do a wind down day where we're just chilling, beaching, bumming it out, getting massages, and just relaxing, that
Hmm.
does kind of help a lot. And that is so necessary. And it's nothing more intimate and where you can connect when like then when you can get massages together. I don't know what it is, but it's just
Hmm.
like this. Y'all can't even talk or
Yeah,
whatever.
right,
And you
right.
both getting massages, but it's just such a cool experience getting couple massages and stuff. That is a good point, girl. You are so right about all. Well, girl, we've got to move on to travel tea, which is where I take a hot topic in the travel community and we discuss it and we talk about it. And it's usually related to why you're here. So this week's travel tea is girls trips and guys trips while you're married. Like, what are your thoughts? Is your husband open to it? Are you open it to him traveling with the guys? For me personally, I think that's healthy. I actually have gotten a lot of flack in my marriage, especially early on, where people were kind of like, your husband let you let for well, let's just start
Right.
there. But your husband let you go on girls trips without him, and you let him go on a guys trip or whatever. Personally, we have a level of trust and security in our relationship where, yes, do it. That doesn't bother me. I'm not
Right.
have fun. I'm not gonna blow your phone up and all, like, no, enjoy yourself. Because believe me, I have to have my girls' time too. Like, I have to
Right.
have that time to do something with my girls because I want to experience things with my girls too. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's healthy. That's really is a sign of you're in a healthy marriage when you guys can really trust each other to do those kind of things. So I don't know why it's like this big deal where you really have some people that are like, no, he ain't traveling without me or she ain't traveling without me. And I just think that that is so crazy to me. So we're going to talk about it, girl. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think the people who have an issue with it maybe have trust issues in their relationship before having solo trips, because I mean we
Mm,
do it all the time. I don't see a problem. Like, what is my husband going to do on this trip with men that he wouldn't do if I
with
was with him? Like,
mm-hmm.
and I just don't understand that. But yes, I have, like, even before we got married, gone on solo, like, girls trips. He's gone on guys trip. My bachelorette party, we went to Vegas. He's gone to several bachelor parties while we were married. They've gone to Vegas several times for these, whether it's a birthday or bachelor weekend, whatever it is. And I don't have any issues, because at the end of the day, you're coming home to me. I'm married to you. You're not going to be doing anything extra. I think people are just, they don't trust their mate, and you need to work on that before discussing any trips or anything like that. But I think it's healthy to be able to travel with someone outside of just your spouse or your family. Or, one girls trip we take every year is a trip with my sisters. So I have several sisters. So Sean, Ashley, Maya, all of us go on a girls trip every year. And then I have a group of friends from high school and college. We go on a girls' trip as well every year. And there may be another girls' trip coming soon with you, me, Marquita, and everybody. So I mean, we're
Yes.
just, I I don't know where that comes from, but we don't live our lives like that, and we don't live our lives in fear. We all love to travel, so that's what we're going to do. And we're not going to worry about, oh, well, he may do something wrong or I may do something wrong, because we're not that type of people. So check yourself and
Right.
check your mate and figure out what needs to be done. So,
Right. That is something I always say that I'm like, why is that such a big deal on social media? And like, I could not understand why people would give us so much flack. Like, oh, she always go. And I'm like, what? Like,
mm-hmm.
he can go on guys trips. I don't. That does not bother me.
Right.
Like, why does that bother you? And I'm like, I had to realize, I had to look at maybe some of the people who were saying that, and I'm like, okay, y'all, like, if you're in a healthy marriage or relationship, you're not you're you have a certain level of security. Plus, like you said, especially when you're in a healthy marriage, there's even more this level of security
Mm-hmm.
that just comes with that you really don't have those kind of worries. But there are some relationships and couples out there, and like, it was this battle on in a social media group I was in one time where, like, I was just surprised at the amount of, it was more so men. Well, no, I'm gonna say women and men, but I was so surprised at the amount of women who were just like, or men who were just like, no, he ain't going on no trip without me, and I'm not. And I'm like, what kind of? And then I realized, I'm like, the reason why we probably get so much flack about it is because people are used to, some people, not all, but some people are used to dysfunction, I guess. They're
Mm-hmm.
used to toxic. They're not used to seeing a healthy marriage. And then some people, especially if you're not married, they don't understand the work and what comes with being married and how that is needed sometimes to, it doesn't make
Right.
you love your partner less to say, hey, I need time not to be with you. Like, that
Right.
makes you even more healthy
Right.
to know how to say, I'm not always up under my partner
Yes.
every single time. Like, we can be apart, but we're together, you
Right.
know?
And I was an individual before we got married. So yes, we're in a union,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still myself. I'm still Alicia. You're still Fatima at the end of the day.
Right.
So I still need to be comfortable with myself and happy with myself. And if that means that I need to go on a
Right.
girls' trip or if I need to go on a solo trip, then that's what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And there shouldn't be any, you know, negative
Issue.
issues or anything with
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's all on the partner, that someone who's with, like, that they need to get through that first. Like,
Hmm.
check that what you got going on in the inside, if that's your thing. And like, oh, you made such a good point. You said, I'm an individual, and I think that that is so important. I think it's important to have a spouse too, who also understands that as well. Like, having a spouse that also understands that we have to be dope on our own in order to be dope together.
Yeah,
Like, we have to, I support you in whatever you have to do to be your best self, and you support me in whatever I have to do to be my best self. And then we
exactly.
bring that together and it's magic. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I think that that is a huge part of it. And then some people, I think it's just they're so used to unhealthy relationships that when they see one, it's like a unicorn. Like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, you're not gonna worry about
Right,
him? Like,
right,
you're not gonna be calling his phone the whole time? Like, no,
right.
we gonna FaceTime and see each other now and then. And how you do? You liking it? We gonna text, whatever. But I'm not. I'm gonna let him have
Hmm.
his fun, and he lets me have my fun because we trust each other at the end of the day.
Exactly, because Avon has, like I said, been on several Vegas trips with the guys, and I don't even call because I know they're somewhere doing something crazy. I know they're being crazy. I don't have
Right.
to call to know that. I know you're being crazy because if the times that I've been in Vegas with them, we've been doing something
Hmm.
crazy.
It's Vegas. I mean, it's
Right.
Vegas. So yes, like, and yeah, I think that's important. I think it also kind of goes too, though, Alicia, to like, people have these unrealistic expectations of what they think marriage is supposed to be. And sometimes they think that marriage is supposed to be, when you marry that person, you totally lose that individuality.
Right.
And now you have to, if you're in a really good marriage, then that means you're under your partner 24/7, 99.9% of the time. And that's what they think marriage is actually
Right.
is. But the reality is, I think that that's what makes it more beautiful, is when y'all can't, and sometimes you just want to miss each
Mm-hmm.
other. Like, sometimes it's very much needed. And then you come home and now you've had the time of your life, or he's had the time of his life, and y'all can just connect, and you ask them all about their trip and what they did, and did they have fun? And I think that's cool to kind of swap
Mm-hmm.
stories.
I agree. Yeah.
Girl, yes. So I got a quick little game that I wanted to put in this, that I just kind of thought about, because we always talk about, like, where's a good place that you can go as a couple versus what's a girl/guy trip. Because some places you would go and you'd be like, I would not recommend someone who, I like Hawaii, for instance, Maui. I would not recommend someone who is single to probably go there, especially if you're not happily single,
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna see so many couples, and
Oh, I
there
didn't think
is,
about that. Yeah.
it's not the kind of place I just wouldn't recommend it. Unless you can go solo, but like I said, happily single.
Yeah.
But there are just some places it's like, that's more of a guy's trip, that's more of a girl's trip. So I'm gonna name a city, and you let me know if you think that's vacation or slaycation. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna be like both
So
of them on all of them.
both of them, right? You can say vacation, slaycation, or
Okay.
both, because some places are
All
both.
right.
So I'm gonna throw out there. Dubai.
Ooh, both. So I would definitely go. So Avon, this where he wanted to go instead of Bali. But of course,
Uh-huh.
it was my trip. I won the trip. So I said, no, we're going to Bali. So I definitely want to do a vacation and a staycation for Bali. It's both for me because I've seen your pictures from Dubai and baby, I'm ready.
Yeah. Listen, I was gonna say the same thing about Dubai. That's definitely both. You can definitely do it as a couple, but as a girls trip, it is lit as well when
Hmm.
you with the right girls too. Like it's definitely a both. Okay, Vegas.
Vegas. Okay. So I know a lot of people will say slaycation, but I have to say both as well
Both.
because I've
Mm-hmm.
done both. Now, I definitely did Vegas for my bachelorette trip and we slayed it. It was so much fun. But we also went for Avon's birthday and then for one of our other friends' birthday. And that when I tell you, I think it was 10 times better than just the
Mm-hmm.
bachelorette trip because I feel like the guys just add another level of fun. So it just
Mm-hmm.
depends on both. Both.
Both. I agree. I've done Vegas as just girls and with David, we actually had like as a couple, it's people will be surprised at how many things that you can do as a
Yes.
couple there that's romantic or like the gondola rides
Mm-hmm.
at the Venetian and it's so many romantic things that you can do as a couple there. Like people kind of think of Vegas, they think of like
And
hangover, like,
party,
oh,
yes.
crazy.
Hmm.
Yes, and it's both. I really feel like it's both, and I've experienced it both as well. So I feel you. Chicago.
Um, Chicago. Look, I told you I'm gonna say both for you. As you guys see, I'm a both for everything because I want to do both with my husband and with my girls.
With the girls, right? Yes.
I just have to go to everything twice. So I have to say both as well.
I'm gonna say vacation just because for me, I guess because I experienced it as a vacation,
Hmm.
and I just can't. Maybe I need to think of it another way, but it was so. We did like a Love Jones inspired weekend there because I used to love
Oh.
the movie Love Jones. So we just went to Chicago, and I used points, and it was totally free, and I loved it. But we went, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so romantic!"
Hmm.
Like but we went to like a jazz club and just chilled there and it was very chill and I'm gonna say vacation for
And
Chicago.
see, I have
Okay.
cousins in Chicago, so maybe that kind of made now. If I didn't have them, then maybe it would definitely be vacation. But since cousins are there, they have they're like, okay, come on, this is what the locals do, so we can go and have fun with the locals.
Right, right. That's true. That is so true. Last one, and that is Jamaica.
Jamaica, ooh,
That's
Jamaica,
a tough one.
Jamaica to me, um, is 80% vacation and 20% vacation because we have done both. But the vacation, so I know I keep giving a story behind everything, but
Oh no, that's
it's
cool.
vacation for me because that was kind of our second honeymoon. We did the first one and then
Mm.
we were like, no, that wasn't good enough. So we went to Jamaica and when I tell you, I felt like, okay, I'm in love times 10 when I was in Jamaica. It was
Yes.
just us and it was so beautiful and just like yeah,
The people, cool.
vacation, definitely.
I'm gonna say slay. I'm gonna say both, but for me, I experienced it both ways. I went with the girls. First, I went as a vacation. Well, I went for a wedding, and I was the maid of honor, and my husband was the groom, the best man in the wedding that
Hmm.
we went to. So we still had that a little time to just kind of just chill, just like as a couple too. And it was so romantic. It was beautiful. And then I went back with the girls and we
Obama.
had a blast.
Yes.
Like we went to Margaritaville and like
Yes.
partied with the
Yes.
locals and like we had a ball. So like, oh, that's a tough one. Okay then, girl. Well, thank you for playing that little game with
You're
me.
welcome.
So, when we've got to take a quick break, but when we get back, we have some questions from the listeners that we have to answer.
Okay.
So, we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, so we're back. And this is the part where we take questions from our listeners. Either I have received them via DM or email, or someone has left it in my voice message. And so, if you ever have questions and you want to leave it in the voice message, please don't hesitate to do that, because I definitely love to answer as many questions as I can on the show as it's related to the topic. So, Alicia, the first question we have, I'm going to read this one out. And the question is, hi, my name is Alexis. My husband doesn't like to travel. He doesn't want to travel with me, but he also doesn't like me to travel without him. What should I do to with this issue? Sorry.
So, basically just communication. Figure out why he doesn't like to travel, and just as I said earlier about me being persuasive, try to persuade him. If you have to do a little sucking up, that's fine, but persuade him and possibly go on a small trip. Don't do something so big, well, it'll overwhelm him, but make it something.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, just think of things that you know that he will absolutely love. This way, you'll go on the trip. He'll absolutely love the entire thing, and he'll be more open to travel. Then you can go to things that you love and he loves. But to try to win him over, definitely focus on what he loves the most and just communicate, hey, this is a surprise. Yeah, make it a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's do that. We gotta make it a surprise for him. Matter of fact, make it a surprise for like a holiday, Valentine's Day, or like Christmas, or his birthday. Make it a surprise and
Mm-hmm.
just focus everything on him. And it's, oh, yes, please do his birthday. Focus everything on him.
Yes.
He'll love it. And then kind of baby steps and say, okay, you really love that. So let's try this. And then hopefully you can do his birthday and your birthday every year. And that'll just kind of roll over to you doing more vacations.
Right. I definitely agree with you on that too. I also feel too, like you said, they got to get to the root cause of why doesn't he like to travel?
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of some of the things we addressed in the last episode? Is there this fear? Is there this fear of flying? Is this fear of the unknown? Is it this, what is actually the reason why he doesn't like to travel? Has he had some type of experience
Mm-hmm.
before that was, bad, or that has hindered him from wanting to travel? Maybe start there, and like you said, communicate, talk it out. Well, explain to me what are your
Right.
hesitations, and then if you work from there, and like you said, like start off with maybe something smaller that he actually loves. Maybe not a whole week if he doesn't like to travel, but maybe a weekend
Right.
trip, like something, maybe something driving distance. Because a lot of times, what we like to do sometimes is if it's just a weekend, we're like, what's somewhere we can drive and get to within 5 hours from Memphis and just
Right.
kind of just drive for the weekend and come home? Like, hey, let's just go to St. Louis for the weekend. It's 5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just take that drive, and like what can we start there, and then make your way up. But I do agree with you on the, making it about him for the first one for sure. And kind of, for instance, like maybe if he loves sports or basketball or whatever, maybe he loves the New York Knicks or whatever the case may be, take him, say, hey, let's go to this Knicks game in New York and make a trip out of it. And or like my husband loves the Lakers, like let's go to LA, watch a Lakers game, and like let's do something that you love,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the experience while you're there, and then you can kind of slowly get to it. But I definitely feel like getting to the root cause would probably be where they really need to start, and then work their way up.
Definitely.
Oh, yes. So we do have another question. Some of this was kind of asked, but they actually take in another direction. This one is from Rachel in Memphis, Tennessee. And Rachel says, how does a newlywed get started to traveling with her spouse? We've both never really traveled before and would like to start. What is your advice for funding and budgeting?
So,
Mm.
for funding and budgeting, one thing that Avon and I do, which it may not work for everyone, you just have to figure out your own budget per couple. But Avon and I, basically, we take his salary and he covers all of the bills. My salary goes to our savings, and any trip that we want to take, we pay for it from my salary that went in the savings. Now,
Mm-hmm.
everyone may not be
Mm-hmm.
able to do that, but that's where you can come up with a savings plan. Maybe you decide you're going to take one big trip a year. In January, we're going to Jamaica in November. That means you have
Mm-hmm.
9 months to save. Set
Yep.
a savings exact amount and do the best you can. If you have to say, okay, we're not going out to eat for the rest of the year, then force yourself. What's more important for me to go
Mm-hmm.
out to eat and get a cheeseburger from McDonald's, or for me to be on the beach enjoying myself and my husband in Jamaica? I'm pretty sure you'll
Mm-hmm.
say Jamaica. So
Okay.
every time you think about, oh, I'm going to buy this cheeseburger, I'm going to buy this Starbucks, put that money into your savings to hold it for your trip. Sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. That is the key, girl. That's exactly what I was going to kind of touch on. I'll just take it a little. So for me, I feel like if you guys want, you both seem to have the will and the want to do it and want to make it a priority in your relationship, and that's great. That's a great start. When it comes to traveling and having funds to travel, it's all about, like you said, priorities, making it a priority in your relationship. If it is a priority, you will make it work. Traveling is such a priority in our marriage. Like you guys, similarly, we budgeted into our funds. We contribute X amount per month or week or pay period that goes to a travel fund for us. On top of that, check out some of the other tips and things that we've given on saving money on traveling. And I also feel like if you guys both have good credit or working towards good credit, get a good travel credit card and follow my travel hack method of using points to travel the world. As a couple, that's great because you're able to put your household expenses
Mm-hmm.
on there and pay it off by the end of the month with money you guys are already going to be using to pay for things in your household, and earn those points and start traveling that way as well. And even then, like with us, we still have to have spending money. We still got to have money to do things when we get there. So that's why we have budgeted into our budget travel
Right.
funds. So if you make it a priority, like we may have to cut entertainment out a little bit or whatever, we may have to make a sacrifice here, we may have to cut into our play money, however you have to make it fit into your budget, you can make it fit. It's just a matter of what do you want it to be a priority and what you're willing to cut out or do without, or kind of scale back on to make it work, because we have a certain budget for everything. So I think it all is going to start with budgeting and making it work, and then there's so many other tips and tricks, things that I've shared, things that Alicia will share on her blog, that will help you figure out other ways that you can save money on traveling, because it doesn't have to completely break the bank,
Right.
but you do have to do some sacrificing and some discipline, some self-discipline. It just is going to come with the territory. If you want to do those kind of Bali trips and things like that, you're going to have to do some self-discipline and sacrificing as well. So I think that's my answer.
Hi, my name is Tracy from Cordova, Tennessee, and my question is, how do you go about planning fun things to do outside of Google in preparation for a trip, especially an international trip?
So for the most part, wherever we're going, I ask Avon, what are you interested in doing once we're at the location? I'll take the tips from him. And basically, I Google. I use Google, I use Instagram, Facebook. Everyone loves to put, their travel information on Instagram now. Everything is on Instagram. And I
Mm-hmm.
basically just find, what do I think would be the best, like most interesting thing in each area. So if I have 5 days, I'll find something to fit in each day that I want. Just like when we
Mm-hmm.
did Bali, matter of fact, we have to go back to Bali because I found so many places we didn't get to go to. But
Oh,
definitely
so fun.
plan ahead of time. you can always Google, and they're usually, oh, what are the 10 best things to do in Bali or 10 best things to do in Memphis?
Mm-hmm.
Write that down,
Right.
Google it, and see the reviews. Go on Instagram and Facebook, see the reviews, and you'll be able to tell from there if it's something that you'll really be interested in doing or not. And you can strike it off your list if you don't want to do it, and just keep adding and plan your days. Something else I do with planning my days is once I have my list of places that I want to go, I'll pull up Google to see how far away they are from each other and group them
Mm.
together. So if I have, say, we're going to say I'm going to Tennessee. If I find 5 different places that's in Memphis, 3 different places in Nashville, and 5 places in Knoxville and Chattanooga, I'm not gonna pull all of those and say, okay, today I'm going to Memphis, then I'm going to Knoxville, then I'm going to Chattanooga, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to. No, I basically
Right.
plan, okay, I have 5 things in Memphis. I need to do these on the first 2 days, and then plan so it can be in order instead of going. I got to drive an hour
Oh, yes.
to go to the waterfall in Bali and then an hour back to go see this temple. Make it progressive where you don't have to worry about driving so many different places because you're losing time.
Right, girl, you said a word there. So a good tool too to use is Google
Yes.
Trips. Google Trips is really cool for helping you determine the distances and how close these places are, and they will help you create an itinerary. A lot of people don't realize that Google Trips, the app, is very helpful, and they will tell you like the average wait time in this for this exhibit, if you know whatever. It is really helpful with you planning out your itinerary. Another good tool is
Yeah.
TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor, you look under the things to do section. There is a section that will have all the main things and tours and hot things that people typically do when they go to that place. I definitely use TripAdvisor. And another thing that it helps you do is you can pre-book a lot of stuff before you get there. So you're not waiting in lines or trying to pay for it when you get there. You've already prepaid for that stuff before you got there. A lot of times we can prepay for things and we already have it in our budget. So now whenever we get there, that's less things that we have to worry about spending money on because we paid for it. We've prepaid. So TripAdvisor, they have everything that you can possibly, most typically that you want to do. Like you said, Googling, I definitely believe in Google. But a lot of those Facebook groups like Black Travel
Yes.
Movement and Black Women Travel or Girls Love Travel, they have a lot of, like, they have so many people that share their experiences and what they did and how they did it. Gain some insight from them as well of like, oh, when I went there, this is what I did and this is how I did it and this is where I booked it. A lot of people they're willing to share. So you're right about social media wanting to share it. The last thing that I do too is Instagram, but put the hashtag, Dubai or wherever you're wanting to go, put that hashtag in. Click the hashtag. So many pictures and things will pull up with people who were on those trips and you can kind of see what they did, kind of see what they were wearing, like maybe give you an
Mm-hmm.
idea of how you need to dress. Cause I definitely had to do that for Dubai because I was so worried about like, how am I supposed to dress when I get there? Like, oh my God, am I not going to be able to dress? Once I clicked that hashtag Dubai in Instagram and pulled up a search, I was able to see like, okay, like she's dressed kind of normal, like she's dressed kind of normal. And using the Facebook groups and all of that, I was able to find out like, oh no, you can pretty much dress normal in Dubai, just certain places and things like that. So utilizing your resources is how we plan out a lot of fun things to do. And it definitely works a lot. It definitely is very, very, very helpful with planning out your trip because the hardest part about a trip is that
Mm-hmm.
itinerary because you want to do so many things. You got to narrow down what you're going to do the whole nine. So, and since it's about couples, definitely consider what both of you guys like to do together as well because sometimes like your partner may want to do something that you
Right.
just ain't with. And so like y'all have to talk about that before you go. Like you got to talk about that. So those are things to think about. Any other
Yeah.
thoughts, Alicia,
And
on that?
also make sure you read the reviews because I feel like so many times we're just
Mm-hmm.
looking at Instagram and we see these perfect pictures, and you may not be prepared once you
Yes.
actually get to where you're going. And an example is Bali. We see these beautiful
Mm-hmm.
pictures, like it's so beautiful, but you're climbing a million steps. If you don't read the reviews, you won't
Yep.
know that you're going to have to climb a million steps. And you may get there and be like, oh Lord. So
Mm-hmm.
read the reviews and
Right.
make sure that you're prepared for what you're going to be experiencing. You don't want to get to the place and find out, oh, I have to climb a mountain, because then you're going to be discouraged. You're not going to have a great time as much as you would have had if you would have known ahead of time. I've prepared myself mentally and physically
Right.
that I'm going to have to climb this mountain in order to take this picture, you know?
Right, right. And I'm gonna have to bring these
Mm-hmm.
shoes for this because this is what you are so right, honey. Because I'm glad that I was told that because I had that pretty dress on in Bali, but baby, I had some
Mm-hmm.
comfortable shoes on because I was already forewarned.
Yeah.
You forewarned me. Another friend of mine forewarned me. Like before you go, have some
Yes.
good shoes because you will be climbing them stairs and that kind of thing. Like you're right. The pictures can kind of be misleading and if you are nervous about crowds or whatever, and you don't realize that, like understand those pictures that you see that are beautiful, especially at the
Mm-hmm.
Stairway of Heaven. Understand those wait times, honey. You gotta take
Yes.
that into account. If we hadn't had a driver who said, no, y'all gonna have to get up at 4 a.m. and drive there for us to go so that we can
Mm-hmm.
figure out so we can get there. And thank God he did that because as we were leaving, the line started to get so long and we were already leaving, gone, already had our picture. We waited maybe an hour, but while we were waiting, we were getting to listen to him about the culture and learn from him. And he showed us what this means and this means. So it really didn't feel like we waited long. But a lot of people that was coming as we were
They were shocked,
leaving,
right?
they were
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, because they just saw the pictures on Instagram and didn't think about that, which is why it's important to be in those kind of Facebook groups
Mm-hmm.
and stuff as well, because they usually will give real honest experiences to kind of prepare you. So join a Facebook group too. Join that. That's where you're going to get a lot of the raw information of like, yeah, I did this and this happened and you need to do this. So good information. Well, Alicia, I have so enjoyed this. Our time has come to an end. Thank you for coming today. I have really I really, really appreciate it. Seriously, girl. Like, so glad that you came and we were able to
Of
talk about
course.
this.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now, if you don't mind, let my listeners know how they can support you and how they can connect with
Okay,
you.
so my blog is gonna be liveluxwithleisha.com. And on Instagram, if you want to find me, it's gonna be say hey, Miss Taylor. Like Beyonce, say hey, Miss Carter.
Miss
So it's gonna be
Carter.
say SayHeyyMrstayLor. Say hey, Miss Taylor. Then if you want to catch me on Facebook, it's just Alicia Taylor.
Thank y'all for listening in today. Hope that you learned something. Cannot wait for next week's episode. As you know, I will drop the deets at my Instagram. You know you can find me at @theprettywanderer_. So until next week, you guys.